Weight, what a funny word, isn't it? Everyone hears it and immediately thinks of the body. Numbers on a scale, mirrors, diets, shame. But that's not the kind of weight I'm talking about. I'm talking about the kind that doesn't show up in pounds, but presses harder than gravity itself. The kind that sits on your chest when the lights go out. The kind you carry behind your smile, pretending you're fine, pretending it's all normal. You call it stress, pressure, exhaustion. But it's more than that, isn't it? It's the invisible baggage that's been sitting on your shoulders for far too long. The funny thing about weight is, it's never really about the weight, is it? People spend years fighting mirrors, scales, diets, and numbers, thinking that what they're battling is their reflection. But what if that reflection is only the messenger, not the enemy? What if the real heaviness isn't sitting on your stomach or your shoulders, but deep, deep in your chest, where your thoughts never stop whispering? You see, the world taught you to count calories, but never taught you to count the moments you swallowed your words. They told you to lift weights, but never to lift the grief you buried under fake smiles. You think you've gained pounds, but maybe you've just collected pain, layer after layer, bite after bite, each one a memory of something you couldn't control. You call it fat, but it's just your body trying to protect you from what your mind couldn't handle. Every meal, every craving, every late night snack. It's never hunger for food. It's hunger for peace, for a moment of quiet in a world that keeps screaming, not enough. Not thin enough, not fast enough, not perfect enough. They call it discipline, but what they really mean is punishment. Punishment for feeling, for wanting, for existing in a body that refuses to fit their definition of beautiful. And the sick joke is, you believed them. You started weighing your worth instead of your progress. You thought the numbers defined you. You started to hate the very body that carried you through every storm. The same legs that stood when your world fell apart. The same arms that held you when no one else would. But you don't see that, do you? You see the stomach, the thighs, the imperfections, and you think, if I just fix this, maybe I'll be happy. But you're not broken. You're buried. Beneath shame, expectations, comparisons. The world taught you to wear masks, to hide your struggle, to pretend you're fine while you're crumbling inside. And the more you pretend, the heavier it gets. You want to lose weight. Start by losing the lies. Lose the need to please. Lose the guilt that was never yours to carry. Because the real transformation doesn't begin in the gym. It begins in the mirror, when you stop looking for flaws and start searching for the person who's still in there, waiting to be seen. The one who doesn't care about perfect lighting or filters. The one who just wants to breathe without feeling guilty about it. The body isn't the prison. The mind is. And every time you tell yourself, I'm not enough, you build another wall, another bar, another layer of weight that keeps you from moving freely. You've been dragging ghosts, regrets, broken promises, and calling it just how I am. But it's not who you are. It's what you've been told to be. You've been carrying the judgment of others, the laughter from your past, the silence of your fears. That's what's weighing you down. That's why you're tired, even when you've done nothing. Maybe it's time to stop trying to become lighter for them and start becoming lighter for you. Not by shrinking your body, but by freeing your soul. By letting go of every cruel word that stuck to your skin like a stain. By forgiving yourself for all the times you thought you weren't worthy of love because of how you looked. You were never meant to be small. You were meant to take up space, your space. But somewhere along the way, someone told you that being less makes you more. And you believed it because you were desperate to belong. But belonging doesn't come from blending in. It comes from standing up, from saying, "This is me, and I'm done hiding." Every scar, every mark, every curve tells a story of survival. You want to change. Change what's inside first. The way you speak to yourself, the way you see yourself. Because once you stop fighting your reflection, it starts fighting for you. And that's when the real transformation begins. Not when you lose pounds, but when you lose pain. When you finally stop carrying the invisible weight that no scale can ever measure. People love to talk about self-control as if it's some kind of magic switch you can flick on, and suddenly everything in life aligns. They tell you to be disciplined, to resist, to control your urges. But what they never tell you is that the more you try to control something, the more it controls you. You skip meals. You count calories. You punish yourself for every bite. You call it willpower, but deep down, it's fear. Fear of not being enough. Fear of being seen as weak. Fear of losing control, when in reality, control is the very thing that's eating you alive. There's a cruel little irony in the way the world operates. They convince you that happiness is waiting at the end of your struggle, right after you lose that weight, get that job, fix that body, or earn that nut number. But that's the trick, isn't it? They never let you reach it. Because if you did, you'd stop chasing. You'd stop buying, stop comparing, stop kneeling at their altar of perfection. So they keep moving the target. You think you're chasing progress, but you're just running in circles, starving your body while feeding your insecurity. And then there's that voice. The one that shows up when no one's around. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It knows just where to cut. You'll never make it. You're not strong enough. Look at you. You can't even stick to it. You call it self-doubt, but it's more than that. It's addiction. Addiction to failure, because failure feels familiar, safe even. Success is too bright, too uncertain. Failure, on the other hand, is predictable. You know how to handle it. You've built a home inside it. You decorate it with excuses and call it comfort. But the truth is, the weight you're trying to lose isn't on your body. It's in your head. What's the mental baggage that you carry everywhere? The guilt, the shame, the need to be perfect in a world that doesn't even know what perfection is. You can't exercise that away. You can't diet that away. You have to face it, look it dead in the eye, and admit that maybe you've been fighting the wrong battle. People think transformation happens in the spotlight, but it doesn't. It happens in silence, behind closed doors, when you're staring at yourself and asking, why am I really doing this? You don't find strength in the moments you win. You find it in the moments you break and still choose to get up. You don't build power by controlling everything. You build it by letting go. Letting go of the idea that you must earn your worth through suffering. Letting go of the belief that you're only lovable when you're smaller, cleaner, better. And then you start to realize something strange. The more you stop fighting your body, the more it starts to trust you again. You stop starving it, and it stops screaming. You stop hiding from mirrors, and they stop hurting. You stop seeing food as the enemy, and start seeing it as what it was always meant to be. Fuel, not punishment. You stop obsessing over control and start focusing on connection. Connection between your thoughts, your body, your purpose. It's funny, isn't it? How something as simple as hunger can reveal the truth about who you are. Hunger isn't always for food. Sometimes it's for freedom, for love, for peace. But people would rather starve than admit they're starving for something deeper. Because it's easier to say, I'm on a diet, than to say, I'm lost. Easier to obsess over a number than to face the emptiness that number is supposed to fix. You don't need to destroy yourself to rebuild. You don't need to hate yourself to change. You just need to understand that control is a cage. And maybe you've been sitting in it so long, you've forgotten that the door was never locked. They taught you to be afraid of what happens when you let go. But letting go isn't falling apart. It's falling free. It's realizing that the person you've been trying so hard to become might already be inside you, waiting for you to stop trying and start trusting. The truth is, control is a lie that keeps you trapped in an endless loop. The more you tighten your grip, the more you lose yourself. But when you stop gripping, when you stop fearing, when you stop punishing yourself for being human, that's when the real strength begins to show. Not the kind you can see in the mirror, but the kind that radiates from within. The kind that doesn't need validation, or approval, or applause. The kind that finally understands that freedom was never about controlling everything. It was about no longer needing to. Funny thing about the mirror. It doesn't just show you your reflection. It shows you your truth. The one you try so hard to hide from everyone, even yourself. You can wear the best clothes, the biggest smile, but the mirror, it doesn't care. It looks right through the mask, right into the parts you've been avoiding. And you know what it sees. It sees exhaustion. It sees someone who's been trying so damn hard to become someone else that they forgot who they were supposed to be in the first place. You stand there, staring, judging, adjusting, comparing. Every morning the same ritual. The same quiet war between what you see and what you wish you could see. And maybe, just maybe, that's the real weight you carry, not on your body, but in your soul. Because it's heavy, pretending to be fine all the time. It's heavy, smiling when you don't mean it, nodding when you want to scream. The world tells you, be confident, love yourself. But no one explains how to love something you've been taught to hate. The reflection becomes your enemy, and your thoughts become the weapon. Not good enough. Not yet. If I fix this, then maybe I'll be happy. That's the trap, the endless cycle of ifs and maybes. You think happiness is hiding in the next version of you, the one who's fitter, stronger, richer. But every time you reach that version, it vanishes, replaced by another impossible standard. Because you've confused improvement with worth. You don't want to be better. You want to feel like you matter. And then comes the silence, the kind that echoes. You sit there, scrolling through faces, bodies, smiles that all seem perfect, and suddenly yours feels like a mistake. You forget that those faces are edited, filtered, painted illusions sold as reality. You forget that the same people preaching self-love are the ones profiting off your insecurity. They feed you lies wrapped in pretty slogans. You're beautiful, but buy this first. You're enough, but not without this. It's a game designed to keep you chasing what you already have but can't see. So what happens when you stop playing? When you stop letting the world dictate how you should feel about yourself? That's when things start to shift. You start to see that maybe the problem was never your body, your skin, your face. It was the noise. The endless chatter telling you to be everything except you. And once you silence it, you start to hear something new. Your own voice. The one that's been buried under years of comparison and criticism. The one that doesn't demand perfection, just honesty. That's when you realize the mirror was never mocking you. It was testing you. It wanted to see if you'd recognize the person standing in front of it. It wanted to know if you'd keep hiding behind filters, or if you'd finally face the raw version of yourself, the one with flaws, scars, and stories etched into every inch. That version, the real one, might not be perfect, but it's real. And real is terrifying to most people, because real can't be sold. Real can't be copied. Real can't be controlled, but it can be powerful. Once you stop running from your reflection, you start reclaiming your power. You start to understand that your worth was never tied to your looks, or your weight, or how many people tap your photo. Your worth is built in how you stand back up after breaking. How you keep going when no one's watching. How you survive in a world that profits off your doubt. Every scar, every imperfection, every so-called flaw, it's proof that you've lived. That you fought battles no one knows about and came out breathing. And isn't that something? They wanted you to hate your reflection, and instead, it became your reminder that you're still here. Still fighting. Still capable of becoming more than what the world expects. The mirror doesn't need to change. You do. Not your shape, not your size, but your perspective. The moment you stop looking at yourself as a problem to be fixed and start seeing yourself as a story to be understood, everything changes. You don't have to love your reflection right away. You just have to stop hating it. You just have to look at it without flinching, without judging, without comparing. Because that person staring back at you has been through enough. They've carried the weight of expectations, criticism, failure, and still they're standing. They're showing up. They're trying. And that's worth more than any perfect image the world could ever show you. People don't just look at you anymore. They study you. They dissect your face like it's a mystery they're trying to solve. Every glance, every whisper, every smirk carries meaning now. It's funny, isn't it? You walk into a room and suddenly you're not a person anymore. You're a topic, a walking headline. The way you raise an eyebrow, the way your lips tighten, the way your eyes flicker between tiredness and defiance. It all becomes part of the show. You didn't ask for it, but here you are, under the lights, playing a role you never auditioned for. You think it's harmless at first, just curiosity, just talk. But it grows, it spreads. People start telling your story for you, rewriting it, twisting it until it barely resembles your truth. They don't care about the real you. They care about the version that entertains them. The version that fits their gossip, their envy, their fear. You become a reflection of their insecurities. They can't stand that your presence reminds them of what they lack. So they turn you into something to mock, to question, to destroy. That's how society balances itself. It breaks the ones who stand out, so the average can feel safe again. You hear them talk about your face like it's a symbol. Something's changed about them. They whisper. They look different. And they're right, aren't they? Something has changed. Not the shape, not the color, not the expression. It's deeper. There's something behind the eyes now. Something sharper. Something colder. That's what they can't name. But they can feel it. That subtle shift when someone stops caring what others think and starts living by their own code. It terrifies them. Because when you stop craving approval, you become unpredictable. You start noticing how people react to you now. The way some stare too long, trying to decode you. The way others avoid eye contact, as if looking into your eyes might reveal something uncomfortable. That's when you realize they see it too. The transformation, the storm that's been quietly brewing inside you, finally showing through your expression. They see the fire that no longer hides behind politeness or fear. You've crossed that invisible line between who you were and who you've become. And once that happens, there's no going back. And still, they keep talking. They can't help themselves. Humans fear what they can't control. And you've become a reminder of that. You've become a walking contradiction. Calm but dangerous, kind but unreadable, silent but loud in presence. They say your face looks different because it no longer mirrors their world. It reflects truth, raw, unfiltered truth. The kind that strips away illusions, the kind that makes people uncomfortable. Every rumor, every whisper, every side glance, they're tests. Little challenges to see if you'll flinch, if you'll break character, if you'll apologize for evolving. But you don't. Because deep down, you know something they don't. The face they're talking about isn't a mask. It's a scar. It's a mark of survival. Every curve, every shadow, every line tells a story of what you've endured to reach this point. You didn't wake up like this. You were forged into it. They'll never understand that this version of you was born from silence, from rejection, from nights when you felt invisible. The strength they see now is the result of every time you chose not to give up when it would have been easier to disappear. Your face carries that history, and that's why they talk. They sense something ancient in it. A reminder that pain can shape beauty, that chaos can carve character. And here's the strange part. They envy it. They won't admit it, but they do. Because while they hide behind filters and fake smiles, you wear your truth openly. While they beg to fit in, you've learned to stand apart. You don't need validation anymore, and that's what makes you powerful. Because power isn't loud, it's silent. It's in the way you walk through a room without needing attention, yet everyone feels your presence. It's in the way your face says more in silence than their words ever could. Let them talk. Let them speculate. Their noise doesn't touch you anymore. You've learned that being misunderstood is the price of authenticity. That once you stop playing the role they expect, you become something they can't define. And people hate what they can't define. They want labels, boxes, explanations. But you've burned all of that. Now you exist beyond their comprehension. And maybe that's why your face unsettles them. It's not the face of who you were. It's the face of someone who finally knows who they are. You carry that face like a warning and a promise. A warning to those who try to mold you, and a promise to yourself that you'll never go back to shrinking for their comfort. They'll keep talking, and you'll keep walking, because deep down you understand. When they talk about your face, what they're really talking about is their fear of what happens when someone refuses to stay ordinary. It's strange, isn't it? How exhaustion doesn't always come from doing too much. It comes from apps carrying too much. You wake up tired before the day even begins, like you've been running marathons in your mind while your body lays still. You think it's the lack of sleep, the noise, the chaos of the world, but it's not. You're tired because of the weight you drag around. Invisible, emotional, psychological weight. You've been holding on to memories that have expired, expectations that never belonged to you, and guilt that was planted by people who benefited from your silence. That's not tiredness. That's suffocation disguised as routine. You tell yourself it's just life, just how things are. But deep down, you know something's off. The heaviness doesn't go away, no matter how many times you distract yourself, no matter how many smiles you fake or goals you chase. It lingers. Like a shadow that doesn't know when to leave. You've learned to live with it, haven't you? To make room for it, to call it normal. You've even built your identity around it. You tell people, I'm fine, when you're not. You convince yourself that maybe everyone feels this way, that maybe this weight is just part of being human. But it's not. It's part of being as afraid to let go. See, the cruel thing about pain is how comfortable it becomes. You get used to it. You start to think it's safer to carry it than to face what comes after, because letting go means confronting the silence that follows. And silence is terrifying, isn't it? It forces you to hear your own thoughts, to admit what you've been avoiding. It exposes how long you've been clinging to something that's been gone for years. Maybe it's a person. Maybe it's an image of who you thought you'd be. Maybe it's the version of yourself that could still believe in second chances. Whatever it is, it's heavy. And you've convinced yourself that, without it, you wouldn't know who you are. That's the trick, though. The weight convinces you it's necessary. It whispers, "If you drop me, you'll fall apart." So you obey it. You feed it with memories, replaying moments that hurt just enough to keep you loyal. You carry people in your mind who stopped carrying you long ago. You relive mistakes that no one else even remembers. You wear your guilt like armor, pretending it protects you, when in truth, it's what keeps you from moving forward. You've become addicted to your own suffering because it's the only thing that still feels real. But there's a point, there always is, where the body starts rejecting what the soul refuses to release. That's why you can't sleep right. That's why every victory feels hollow. That's why you feel drained after doing nothing. You're running an emotional marathon while pretending you're standing still. The worst part, you think you're weak for feeling this way, but it takes a terrifying kind of strength to carry pain this long. Most people crumble early. You didn't. You built walls. You smiled through it. You functioned. You did everything right. And yet it still weighs on you. Because this isn't about endurance. It's about surrender. You've mistaken holding on for strength, but real strength is in release. The world teaches you to fight, to push, to grind. But it never teaches you how to let go without guilt. No one tells you that it's okay to stop carrying people who no longer walk beside you. No one tells you it's okay to drop the dreams that turned into burdens. You keep everything because you fear losing meaning. You think if you stop carrying it, it all becomes pointless. But that's the lie. The truth is, meaning doesn't come from weight. It comes from movement. You're not meant to be a storage space for pain. You're meant to be a passage. Let things come teach you. Scar you if they must, but let them leave. You're not tired of living. You're tired of dragging what's already dead. Every day you wake up, you have a choice: keep carrying it or set it down. But you never do, because setting it down feels like failure. You've tied your identity to endurance, not freedom. You think if you let go, you'll lose yourself. But the version of you that's weighed down isn't who you truly are. It's who you became to survive. Survival isn't living, it's waiting. And that's what you've been doing, isn't it? Waiting for something to change, for someone to notice, for the weight to lift on its own. But it won't. The burden doesn't dissolve. It demands to be released. You keep asking for peace while clutching the very things that steal it from you. You talk about wanting freedom, but your hands are too full to grasp it. You can't be light until you stop feeding the heaviness. You can't rise while chained to ghosts. You don't owe your pain loyalty. You don't owe the past an explanation. You don't need permission to release what's killing you. The weight isn't proof of strength. It's evidence of fear. The moment you realize that, the chains lose their power. You don't need to fight the heaviness. Just stop giving it a home.